Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the bunker. I want to thank, firstly, all our supporters that have been with us since season one through season two and now season three. If you're just joining us now, I encourage you to go back and listen to some of the other episodes and follow us on our journey into some of our other adventures. We touch on everything from UFOs to spirit activity, psychic phenomena. We briefly touch on cryptids. I encourage you to go back and listen to some of those episodes. We like to share our adventures at the different places. We investigate some of the different things that we've experienced. Talk about some history of some of the places, and I think there's something there for everyone. So if you're just joining us now, I encourage you to go back and just flip through some of those old episodes and just see if there's anything there that you'd like. We did an episode about Lilydale, the Men in Black, Bigfoot in the area of New Jersey. We followed up on a UFO episode on our first episode of season one, a major UFO event that took place in North Jersey. So we have a little bit there for everybody who's into anything that's super weird. So yeah, with that said, I just want to thank everybody again for all their support, all your support through Anchor FM, through your words of encouragement at events. It means a lot, even if we don't get a chance to thank you. We really appreciate it. And without further ado, on this episode, Beth and I, we sit down with Heather Rease Mattison, who's the owner-proprietor of the Graestone Manor, which is a truly amazing place in Gasport, New York, the region of western upstate New York, just about 40 to 45 minutes from Niagara Falls. It's a magical place. It is a place that has been a very spiritual, very sacred place for many, many generations, stretching back to pre-Native American to Native American. It was also one of the epicenters of the spiritualist movement post-Civil War, rather. So it's been a place that has had a lot of spirits, a lot of activity, a lot of tragedy, a lot of sadness, a lot of bloodshed, but a lot of joy. And it's a peaceful place now, as I'm sure it was when it was just the natives here before we came. It's a magical place. If any of my listeners out there has been there, you'll understand what all the fuss is about. If you have not had the opportunity to spend some time in that area of the United States, I highly encourage you to seize upon that opportunity if it arises, to spend some time in this area, because it's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. One of those places that will change you. And this was an investigation that changed us for sure. This is probably to date, I think Beth and I would agree on this. I think we even mentioned this in the interview, that it's our favorite investigation. It's a favorite site that we've ever investigated up to this point by far. It was amazing. We had the most insane personal experiences. We caught some pretty profound evidence, but it was just at the same time an amazing bed and breakfast. Heather and Rob are amazing hosts, and they really go the extra mile to make you feel at home. And it's just a amazingly beautiful home. The Graestone Manor was built in 1865 by the Root family. It is a phenomenal place, gorgeous house. One of the most. It has some of the most original woodwork of any house from that time period that I think I've ever seen. And I've been in a lot of historical places. Many of these are, due to weather and wear and tear, they are restored. But this place in particular is one of the most original homes from that time period I think I've ever seen. Just truly phenomenal. And the experiences we had, the evidence we call it, was just insane. This was such a great investigation, in fact, that this is going to be a two-part episode. I'm going to present to you today part one, which is going to be Beth and myself sitting down with Heather and just interviewing her, talking about her journey into the realm of spirituality, and she's a psychic and a medium and an author, investigator herself. So we talk about her foray into this into the world of high strangeness and how she got into this, and then also how she got connected to this house and how this house almost sort of found her in a way. And then once she got there, how she was connected to this home. It's a truly fascinating story. And there's so much to it, like I said, that I couldn't fit it all into one episode. So I wanted to get it all in there. So we're going to do this as a two-parter. So part one, I hope you enjoy it. It's just Beth and I sitting down with Heather and just having a, casual conversation about her adventure and how she got into this and what brought her to the present moment as being the owner and the proprietor but also the carrier of knowledge of this home and the history of the home and the property up to the present moment. So it's a fascinating interview. It's one of the best I think I've done. One of my favorite interviews, one of my favorite investigations, and I want to thank you for joining us, and I hope you stick with us for part two of our adventures at Graestone Manor. Okay, here's Heather now. Hello, Heather.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Hi, Heather.
Hi, how are you? How are you guys?
We're good.
Good. How have you been?
No, sorry, I think you broke up for a second. How you doing?
Good. Crazy. It's been a busy weekend, holiday weekend, so people in from out of town, and it's been a crazy week. Just waiting for some people to show up, but they're late, so.
Oh, wow.
So, sorry, it took me a minute, but they're still not here, so.
No, that's okay. I feel bad we have to do this again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
It's just been a weird weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff's been really crazy for us too. Tons and tons of private cases coming out of the woodwork and people wanting house blessings and, investigations and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. I just did one of those last week as well, yeah. House blessing and same. A couple people reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what's going on. I wonder why all of a sudden it seems like...
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but...
Maybe people are... Just because people are able to be out and about a little bit now.
Yeah, that's true.
They feel better about having people in or whatever. Or maybe they were home alone, in their house for so long hearing all sorts of weird stuff where you wouldn't have heard it before.
Yeah.
They're all trapped in their houses.
Yeah, that's right.
Something's going on.
That's a good point, yeah. We spoke to Andrew Perrin recently, and she was saying that, just be ready. Lots of people are going to be, they're going to be coming out of the woodwork looking for healers and investigations and stuff, like making it sound like, energy is going to be going bonkers for whatever reason. So, but I think what you said has some validity to it as well.
Yeah, because people were absolutely focusing for the first time just on the quiet, their own house, and because they were stuck there, Or normally just go home, sleep, eat, and you're not really paying attention to your house at all.
That's true.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
So, welcome, Heather. I want to thank you for taking time out to talk to us. We're just sitting down. This is going to be part one of a part two episode of The Bunker. We're going to sit down and speak to you this time and hear your take on the space, how you come to own the space, and some of the history and stuff like that. Talk about some of your experiences, and then in part two, we're going to sit down with the other investigators that we spent the weekend there with, and then we're going to talk to them about their experiences, and we'll play some evidence that we caught and stuff like that. So let's jump right into it. So now you're an author on the topic. You're a medium, psychic. You are an investigator yourself. How did this all start for you psychically? Paranormal wise. What sort of happened to get you into this?
I would say, it runs in the family. My grandmother, she used to read tea leaves, and my mom could see dead people. So we were always sort of tuned to this stuff. My grandma's English, so she was always into the superstitions and all the funny legends and stuff like that. So this is always sort of around us. But I could always, ever since I was little, I could pick up energies in buildings or places or just around people. You just got a funny vibe around people. And I knew, I was picking up on strange things, but things for me really sort of amplified when I was about 19 years old, and I had an experience. I think it was like a near-death experience. It was a very odd thing that happened. I was at the ocean in California, and I should have drowned, but I didn't. And I was pulled out of the water by someone wearing all black at a crowded beach in August in California, and it was very, very strange. And just the way that all occurred, and after that incident, things were I was picking up on things. I was getting messages and hearing my guide speaking to me and things like that. So I think it sort of put me over the edge or amplified my abilities, to the point where it was very clear, and that's sort of when that all started for me, where it really started to change.
That's amazing, because Beth had a similar experience with her son being born, had a near-death experience, experience coming out of her body. Do you want to tell that story?
I was 23 when I had this experience, and I was about to give birth to my son, but it ended up being an emergency C-section and lost his heart rate and my heart rate, and then they ended up, taking him emergency C-section, and I thought I died that day. I saw myself out of my body, and then I was pushed back in by someone that I don't know who it was, and then then I came out of it, but, it was just very...
It's amazing.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so you think sort of the same thing, that you started having...
Yeah.
I don't know, it's almost like clarity, but it was very weird. Like for me, the odd thing about all that was that, I grew up with a pool. I grew up, I'm a good swimmer. Mm-hmm. Where I grew up is near Buffalo, but it's right on the Great Lakes, so we grew up swimming in the lakes. My relatives are all Canadian, so we were always up in the Canadian beaches all the time. So water was not an issue for me at all. I was a good swimmer. But we had gone out to California, and I wasn't used to the surf waves that are like 10 feet tall, so we were body surfing in on these waves, and they were sort of low waves, and I was pulling my boogie board up onto behind me, like it was attached to my wrist by like Velcro or whatever, and I was pulling it up on the shore, and this wave hit me from behind, and I never saw it. And that's the weird part. I never got a chance to catch or hold my breath or anything, because I didn't expect to be hit by this wave.
Oh, jeez.
And so it pulled me back, like I felt like I was in a washing machine. And it was tumbling me. I could feel myself just spinning in this wave, and I couldn't feel the bottom, and I couldn't feel the surface, so I had no idea where to swim to. I couldn't tell where the surface was.
Oh my God.
But the weird thing was it was really bright. It looked white all around me. I could see everything. It was like I was watching myself do this. So when you say you had an out-of-body experience, it makes sense, because I shouldn't have been able to see. The water isn't clear there.
Right.
It dawned on me later that was really odd, because I was seeing like white and blue and purples around me in the water. Next thing I knew, I was just very confused. It felt like it went on forever. And then all of a sudden I was standing toe-to-toe on the shore with a guy wearing all black. And he was just standing in front of me. I was literally toe-to-toe. I looked at my feet. He's wearing black shoes, though, not scuba gear, or not like, what do you call it, wetsuit.
Interesting.
It was like black pants.
What the hell?
Didn't see his face. Black shirt, wearing all black. And it's August, and it's boiling hot. We're literally in the water. And I ran over to my friends, and I was all frazzled because I didn't have water in my lungs, which was really odd. I wasn't coughing, nothing like that. And I probably looked like a train wreck, I had just been in this horrible, it was like being in a washing machine.
Yeah.
And I ran over to my friends who were like 100 yards maybe from where this happened. And no one, the weird thing was it was a packed beach, and no one looked up or said, "Are you okay?" or "Where did you come from?" Or the guy who I was standing in front of didn't say, "Are you okay?" Nothing. And I said, the guy in black, I think, pulled me out of the water, turned around, and nobody. And it's a huge beach, big, deep beach where you could see people forever.
Yeah.
And this guy was nowhere to be seen. So for some reason, they wanted me to stay here. And
yeah.
It was super weird, though. That was always so confusing. I no idea why I didn't have water in my lungs. It was very strange.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Man, so then after that, the psychic ability is kicked up. So was it sudden? Was it a gradual thing? How did you deal with it?
I say gradual, just because I was picking up messages on people and things I shouldn't have known, and you start to question, especially at first, because you start getting all these funny messages, and you're like, well, that person wouldn't think that, or that wouldn't happen, and then it happens, and you're like, oh, that's so weird, and it sort of went on that way, and then, you sort of flash forward to, I want to say it was about 2007 or so. My brother-in-law and his friends were like, his friend who I'd never met before, they were very into they loved the paranormal stuff, and his friend had done some investigating at some places locally. There's like a place called Rolling Hills Asylum, which is like it was a poor farm. It was like was it a TB hospital, I think, for a while, but they had done some stuff and knew that I had some abilities and all this stuff. I'd done some readings for people by that point. I started doing readings for people. So they wanted me to go as their psychic, like go for an investigation, just be there and see if I would pick up on anything. Because I'd never really tested myself like that. Although I'd been to I'd gone to a lot of haunted locations and picked up things there as well, but never like officially, you know. So that was crazy. We went there, and that was probably the first time that I was just getting people walking right up, you know, because I channeled auto write as well. I let them write through me. So I would say somebody has a message, you can write down for me, or if you're like, you know, they'll give me messages and I'll ask them to write. So like, almost like doing pendulums or divining rods, and then have the equipment in front of me as well to sort of validate what I'm getting.
Yeah.
So if I tell you, hey, there's like a little girl in the corner over there, you guys might want to take pictures over there and being drawn over to that corner, you know, and then I'm getting, you know, all these results just with equipment. I'm using what I'm hearing, what they're writing down, and then they're picking up orbs and all sorts of stuff over there, you know, shadows, and the equipment's all lighting up. So it was sort of really neat to validate that.
Yeah,
I hadn't really used the equipment before, you know.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Then it's just sort of snowballed from there, you know, just kept going to more places, doing more readings, and the more and more I did, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think the more it advanced, basically, you know.
Yeah, we were sort of taught that, you know, if you have abilities that participating in paranormal investigations is almost like flexing that muscle, and it allows you to sort of, you know, hone that skill a little bit more. That seemed to be true for Beth, I think.
Yeah, it stretches it, you know, where you sort of, you know, you can do X, Y, and Z, but I never tried that before, so let me try that and see how it goes, or see if I pick up, you know. So it's sort of neat to stretch a little bit and do different things, which is really, really neat. I mean,
yeah. It is really neat. Yeah, I think in doing an investigation, you have to use like your sixth sense, so to speak, because sometimes you're in the dark, you know, for hours. So it helps you to be more aware of your other senses.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good point.
But yeah, I would say that was probably the start of, as far as being involved in the paranormal stuff. I wasn't really, I mean, I was always sort of interested in that stuff. I always thought it was sort of cool. I mean, the odd part is I had some other experiences, like when I was first pregnant with my daughter, I had it was one of my guides that said he was an angel, come forward to me and tell me that I was pregnant, it was going to be a girl. Said pregnant women were kissed by angels. Like, he actually said that weird phrase. And I was watching this happen from like outside my body, because I could see him talking into my ear, leaning over, talking into my ear, and it was all the colors. I can't even describe the colors. It was like purples, blues, and pinks all around him. It looked like water or milk or feathers, like moving in this weird, like, wind almost.
Interesting.
But it was like a substance all around this guy. And he was like leaning down, talking to me, and it was so bizarre. Because they always say those colors don't exist. I've tried to find them, but I've never seen those colors. I can't find them on a color wheel or even on like a computer. They're very bizarre. They're bright, but they don't hurt your eyes.
Oh,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. But the way it moved was the weirdest. Almost like it was a substance. I don't know how to describe it.
Oh, wow.
I guess it would be what ectoplasm is, but apparently that's the color of like the spirit realm, because they're explaining to me, those are the colors associated with the higher order.
Yeah,
purples, pinks, blues.
Yeah, I was thinking ectoplasm as well, but I was also wondering as you were describing that, I wonder if the people in the past have seen that same thing, and that's where like people have drawn the distinction of angels having wings, because.
Oh, it could be. It looked like flight or movement. It looked like a viscous, I want to say milk. It was weird. It was a substance. I don't know how to describe it. Almost like he was leaning down through like a cloud bank of this moving stuff.
Oh, wow.
Like he was in cloud bank that was this bright white pinks and blues. It was the coolest color. It was the neatest thing I had ever seen.
Yeah, it sounds
I'm like, that's
amazing.
absolutely beautiful. And they're telling me I'm pregnant and that it was a girl, and I'm like, okay. And then I remember I was like half awake, half asleep. I remember not really being asleep. I was very confused by what I was getting.
Yeah.
And then I woke up and I said, I think I'm pregnant. Like, I don't know. Sure enough, yeah, I was.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
And then, it went for ultrasounds and all that stuff a few weeks later, and they're like, well, we can't tell for sure if it's a girl or a boy. You know how they do that.
Yeah.
Especially back in the day when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
It's not like it is now where they have full color pictures,
Exactly, 3D.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in the olden times.
But we were pregnant.
So they're like, so I went out and bought like all these girls' clothes. Like, we
Yeah.
decorated the baby's room for a girl. Because I'm like, no, this dude told me it was a girl.
Yeah.
This angel guy. And I was laughing because, I don't know if you ever watched, there's a show called Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah.
Okay, back in the day.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Luke Perry. He's
Yeah.
one of the guys on the show. And I can't describe, like, his face looked like that guy's face.
Oh, wow.
With, like, the sideburns and the hair back. Obviously, it wasn't that guy, but that's
Right.
what he looked like. If I had to describe his features.
Oh,
like,
wow.
pointy nose, pointy cheekbones. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was really funny. And I'm like... Then I kept joking, like, Luke Perry says I'm going to have a girl. The guy from Beverly Hills doing it, 90210. And then it was a girl. And
Yeah.
and she almost died, though, and I gave birth to her. She was a blue baby. She had fluid in her legs and everything, and they had to, like, I never heard her cry. Like, she was born, and then they rushed her out of the room.
Yeah.
And I didn't see her for, like, 12 hours, and I'm like, what's happening?
Scary.
Can someone tell me something? Like, oh, well, and they downplay it. Oh, there's a little fluid in her lungs and all this stuff. I'm like, okay. She was fine. They brought her to me, but she's always had lung issues
Oh, wow.
because of that,
Yeah.
But, it was super funny. It was such a funny thing, but then again, I wasn't processing what I was exactly getting. Now I understand more what they're trying to show me, but at the time it was really funny because I was just using common sense, like it was either a weird dream or they were showing me something, but I knew from the colors and the weirdness of it that something odd was happening,
Yeah.
Like, why would they tell me all that stuff? And it was true. And then they'd come forward and tell me other things, and it would be true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Future.
So far in your story, we have two divine interventions. First one by the Men in Black, and the second one by
Yes.
Luke Perry.
Mm-hmm. And he died, right? He died recently, I think.
Yeah, he did die.
So, so we should probably try and contact him.
Yeah, right?
Oh my God, it was so funny because I wish I could have drawn a picture. I was just so funny because that's the only thing I could describe him as looking. He looked human-ish, where they say angels look a certain way, and angels aren't what you think they are either. Like angels are like cute little floaty things and with wings and stuff, but angels are actually like God's military. They're actually very strong entities. They're badasses. They're the what do you call that? Well, they're literally the military, but they watch over everybody and they're in control. Like they're strict and they're tough.
Yeah.
You don't want to tangle with them. They're not like a normal entity.
Right.
That's amazing.
So it was bizarre, but now after doing more of what I've been doing, I'm like, and now they even say like little kids, if you ask a little kid what their favorite color is, they'll almost always say purple because they're newest from the spirit realm.
Yeah.
Because their spirit energy is so young and they were just born, say they're like 3 or 4 years old, they would still be remembering those colors, purples, blues, and pinks.
Interesting.
That's a mix of those colors.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Yeah.
It's very
I have to
interesting.
call it. And it's funny, but 75% of little kids will say purple. You ask them what their favorite color is.
Wow,
Interesting.
that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now you're progressing on this journey, and one thing I found fascinating is like you and Beth knew each other before, but we had watched the episode of Kindred Spirits, and we saw your place on that episode, and we were like blown away. We told ourselves when we saw that, like, we have to get there, and we just felt an instant connection to the place. Just absolutely love it. We were talking just before the show that it's to date our favorite investigation by far, that we've ever done.
Oh, cool.
One thing that I found fascinating was sitting down with you, Heather, talking to you before everyone else had showed up and we started investigating was how you came upon the house and how this house found you. And that whole story, I was disappointed I did not see that on television, because that to me was super fascinating. How you are so connected to this property and this house and this family that owned it. How did that?
Yeah, we knew nothing about any of it either. That's the funny part. Like going in, we knew nothing about this place or this area really. Yeah. Do you want me to just sort of explain?
Yeah,
what we went through. Yeah, it's just very odd the way we bought the house. I mean, it's a big 1865 Victorian home, and we had been looking for older homes and with something with land attached to it. My husband's from the country. I'm from the suburbs, so we were living right outside of Buffalo, and it's a big crowded neighborhood. And my husband really wanted to have a little land around us, have some space. So we started looking for places out in the country. A friend of mine's a real estate agent, so we had been looking, probably looked at about a dozen places, and everything needed so much work. It was just not what we were looking for at all. Like every single house was just one after another, just not good. So we gave up looking, and I got rid of all the apps on my phone, like Zillow and all those. Got rid of everything, and then about 6 months later, this house kept popping up on my phone going, "Hey, we found a house for you," and it was through like one of the search engines. And I'm like, well, we're not looking, so I kept declining it, just ignoring it. And the third time it popped up, I'm like, oh my God. So I kept looking at the listing, and the pictures they had taken were really boring. It was just like the corner of a room and like not any of the pretty aspects of the house. Really odd pictures. And it looked really small. That's the way they photographed it, because there's no furniture in the house, so you couldn't get a scale of the house at all. So finally I called my friend, and who's the agent, and I said, hey, this house keeps popping up. Can we go look at it? Because I don't know why, but I sort of feel like we should probably go look at it. She goes, yeah, I found 2 other ones that are sort of what you're looking for. We can go look at all 3 of them. I'm going, great. So we get here to look at the house, and me and Bob, we walk in the house. All we did was we walked in the kitchen side of the house, and I made a beeline for what's now my office. And I'm like, oh, this is really sunny, especially for a Victorian. The rooms are really sunny.
Yeah.
And high ceilings, really pretty. And I go, wow, this is beautiful. And then the agent, the real estate agent, she goes, hey, you guys, she goes, I just got a message from the listing agent. And she said the house is sold. Somebody put a bid on it. It's no longer for sale. So we're going to go look at the other 2. So we're like, great. So I turned around and walked right out. I never went upstairs, never went in the basement, never looked at anything in this house. And as a psychic, first thing I do is I get a vibe for a place. When you walk in and you're like, oh, this feels comfortable, whatever.
Yep.
So we didn't do any of that. We just turned around and walked out. Looked at the other 2 houses, and they were, of course, terrible. One had all this water damage. And the funny thing is, as soon as we pulled away from the house, this thunderstorm appeared out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Blinding thunderstorm as we were going to the other 2 houses. And it was like, thank God, because the first house we looked at, the basement was filling up with water from the storm. We still had the cistern all hooked up, but it was leaking. And if it hadn't been rainy, we never would have known that was happening. We would have just thought it was a regular basement. But so the other 2 houses were both bad. And so on the way home, my husband's like, well, you know what? Let's put a bid on that first house. I know I really like that one a lot. I know you like that one. Just for the hell of it, let's do that. Mm-hmm. And the house had been in foreclosure for 4 years, and we were going for a VA loan. So both notorious government agencies that were like, don't like to play well together, and they usually will not okay a loan of a house from the 1800s in particular, because usually they need so much work.
Yeah.
So we didn't expect it to go through. We were just goofing around, really. So he put a bid in, and then the next morning we got a call, and they accepted it. We didn't expect that at all. We were really just sort of screwing around. So they go, congratulations, and you bought this house. And we're like, oh, no. So we're like, we need to go through the house, because we literally hadn't checked faucets or anything. Right. We didn't check closets. We didn't go upstairs. We didn't look. And then she goes, no, you guys can't. You're under contract now, so you're not allowed to go back through the house.
Oh, no. My God.
Until final walkthrough. And we're like, what the hell? And we're like, oh, seriously? Like, yeah, so we couldn't come. Plus, it was about a 45-minute drive from us, so it wasn't like around the block. We had to, drive out here. So we just sort of came over here a couple weeks later. We're like, well, apparently we bought this house. We should probably go try and look at it. So we're peeking in the windows, trying to figure out the floor plan from what we could see from the ground, Yeah, pretty bad. So we had no idea what we bought. until we moved in. And then once we moved in, we had like 30 people helping us move, all the nephews and nieces and everybody's here. And so it was mayhem, loud, everybody goofing around. And then when everybody left is when we were like starting to hear stuff. We're hearing walking and talking and footsteps and what sounds like somebody dragging a dresser across the floor upstairs. And there's all carpets up there. Like, no way. Yeah. There's nothing to be moved. We kept checking and we're like, we think something's going on. The day we snuck over here to take pictures of the windows and everything, we also caught something in one of the windows that day. This is like a week earlier. And my husband's like, I think because there's nothing in this house, nothing. No curtains, no rugs, no furniture, nothing. But it looked like there was a woman looking out the window at us, peeking outside of one of the curtains that was in the side window. There was like 2 curtains, and that was it. And you could see the curtain pulled aside and looked like her face looking at us. And we're like, And he's like, I think something might be going on in the house. Because I'm sorry, back it up, but the day we came to peek in the windows, he also thought his daughter, who's older, he thought she was standing next to him while he was looking in the back windows. He thought he saw legs and feet of somebody standing right next to him. Almost like someone had walked right up to him and stood there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And he put his hands down and looked, and there's nobody there, and he saw me come around the house from the other direction, and he goes, hey, where's, his daughter's name's Karen, where's Karen? Was she just here? Like, how did she get away so fast? Basically, he's looking like, where did she go?
Yeah.
And I go, no, they've been, they were sitting out front. They weren't back here at all. He's like, oh, and he's a skeptic. He does not,
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I swear, I think I just saw a woman back here. And I'm like, no, it's fine, because the house is so pretty. I'm like, it's good. Everything's cool. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when we moved in, then we're like, ooh, I think something's actually going on in here. Then, yeah, definitely started getting more of a feel. And, so I was definitely feeling, they introduced themselves, to us as soon as we walked in. There's a woman here, her older, turn of the century style dress, like a fitted top and longer dress. And she was saying she was the woman of the house, basically. This is before I knew the history, who lived here or anything.
Yeah.
And then there's a man who seemed to be a little bit younger, but was like in charge of the house. And that's the one my husband kept seeing or talking to. He kept trying to like communicate with him. So very, very weird. And then we found out more of the history of the Root family building this house and who actually built it and when. So it's pretty crazy. So right from the get-go, we were definitely having it. And then found out about, maybe a year ago now, my one of my cousins was doing our family tree, like Ancestry.com, and searching through the family tree, and he sent me a message going, hey, I just found out that we're actually related to the Root family. We're cousins to these people, like blood related. We have the same, like 4 times great-grandfather as these guys who built the house. Because the spirits here kept saying, we're bringing family back to the house, is what the woman kept telling me. And I thought they just meant, someone's finally moving in, because it had been empty for like 4 years. We have a big family, so I thought they meant, cool, we're bringing family back to the house.
So you thought they meant like a family's coming back to the house, not our family.
The family, right? Their actual family.
That is amazing.
I'm like, what?
That's amazing. What was impressive to me was having shown up a day before the rest of the team, and walking through the place and speaking to you and Beth, seeing what Beth is picking up on. And Beth also picked up on this woman that seemed to greet us too, when we first walked in, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely had a heavy presence. Wanted to know what I was doing there, who I was, like just protecting, like you guys in the house, But
Well, they kept arguing with me too. Like I would have people over, and especially when we first moved in. We had a lot of people coming in. We were having a lot of paranormal stuff happen though. Like they're mimicking our voices. I kept seeing people walking by the doorways, like full body apparition, which I don't normally see like that, But this was crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is like someone to completely just like, you could even see that they were wearing like a white shirt, dark color pants. I think it was my husband, I think it was somebody, and I'm like, what in the world? I'm used to living in the suburbs where there's people like walking their dogs and constantly walking up and down the street in front of the house. So you constantly see people and you hear people talking all the time just because you're in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so I was coming from that mode of like, it just must be somebody walking their dog in front of the house because I see someone walking past and I'm like, wait a minute, we're in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing around us,
Right.
You've been here.
Yes.
There's nowhere to walk in.
Yeah.
No. And that was super weird. That took me a while to get used to that as well, getting used to that, there isn't anybody just wandering around. So I'm seeing somebody at something strange,
Yeah.
And they kept telling me, though, that I kept saying, so like friends would come over or whatever, and I'd say, and they were really almost like crowding people. People were feeling very uncomfortable. They felt like someone was sitting right on them or right next to them.
Yeah.
And fishing around in their brains. They were feeling very dizzy, like something was going on. They couldn't think straight. Very strange. And I asked, what is going on? Like, why are people feeling so dizzy? And they said, well, we're vetting them out.
Oh,
And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, we want to know why they're here. And I said, well, listen, they're friends of mine, so if I'm inviting them here, it's okay, because I know these guys, and if they're coming in, it's okay, but, that... And they said, no, it's not up to you. It's not your house, it's our house.
Oh.
We're the ones who decide who comes here and who doesn't.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure
like, all right, then.
they would make it very uncomfortable if they didn't like you.
Exactly. And then they agreed to step back a little bit, so it was a little bit easier for people, but they'll come right...
They were...
Like, people see them in the front hall, they'll come right up and be like, okay, what are you doing here? Why are you here?
Yeah,
because people feel very dizzy at first. They feel like they're... Uh-huh.
Yeah,
that's what you would describe. Yeah, like you've seen her.
I felt her driving over to your house,
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, okay,
That's
and I was
right.
telling Mike, I was describing this woman, and then, soon as, in the driveway, as soon as you open the door, she's right there in your face, like, right there. Like, hey.
Yeah. Yep, and she's, she would have been here, let's see. I mean, Melissa Root, she was here from 1865. I think she passed in 1900.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time, and she passed in the house, and, this would have been her home,
And I felt comforted. It wasn't like I was, afraid or anything like that. I can just tell that, she was the woman of the house, and it felt like, that's what it felt like. She just wanted to know what I was doing and why I was there, and that's all. Yeah, so, but, yeah.
I think they would, see what your intentions are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever had any guests, just out of curiosity, giving this intense presence is there? Have you had anyone come there to stay? Because the Graestone Manor is a bed and breakfast as well. Have you ever had anyone come there that was disrespectful or something like that, and really, like, did anything bad happen? Like, has anything like that ever taken place?
Yeah, we did. One that comes to mind was a very bizarre. It's always bizarre, but this is really particularly bizarre because it's like this couple was coming in from Syracuse, which is about a 3-hour drive from here, and it was a couple, and it was weird because they were coming in a little bit later, maybe 6 at night. They were hungry, so they decided to stop and get food before they came to the house. They wanted to go eat first and then come here. So they drove past the house on their way into town to get food. And as they were passing the house, it was like the boyfriend was giving this girlfriend a really hard time, saying, this is all so stupid, and I can't believe we're doing this. He was only doing this because she was into the paranormal stuff, so he agreed,
Yeah.
And he started complaining about, no, this is so dumb, blah, 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 right? Started giving her a hard time, but making her take him to this place. So as they were driving by, though, he's, complaining. And she said, as soon as they got past our mailbox, all of a sudden he jumped. He's driving, and he goes, whoa. And she's like, what's the matter? He goes, something's on my back. He's going, feels like my back is burning. He's like, feels like my back is on fire. He's like, it's bad. Like, my back is just burning. And they pulled over the side of the road over the little bridge here near our house. And, his whole back was bright red, like he had been burned. And she took a picture of it because it was like a big splotch of red, his whole side of his back.
Wow.
So they're like, well, that's really weird. And then they went and ate, came back. And she said the whole evening was really weird. She said he almost like turned into Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. She said it was really weird. They brought out a bottle of wine because they were here for like a birthday and they're celebrating,
Yeah.
They were in the green room. They were up there, and he started getting really angry and combative, like fighting with her the whole time. Just started fighting, and like, because she's telling me all this the next morning at breakfast, because she's like, he was acting like not himself. She said, didn't look like him. His eyes looked different. She goes, so they had a bottle of wine, which is a couple glasses of wine, right?
Yeah.
No big deal, drinking wine, and he was just getting drunker and weirder and angrier. And she went to use the bathroom at one point, and he kept saying, go ahead, go. He's like, you leave. I'm going to lock you out of here. He's going, when you fall asleep, I'm leaving. I'm taking the car and driving back to Syracuse. I'm going to leave you here. He kept threatening to do that to her.
Holy cow.
Oh, my God.
And she's like, what in the hell? We don't know any of this is going on. We're in the back part of the house. We have no idea.
Yeah.
So the next morning, I wake up and she's sleeping on the couch. And I'm going to make breakfast, and I'm like, ooh, I see that somebody's on the couch. But sometimes people will do that because they've heard something upstairs and it spooks them, and they'll sleep down here, which is more creepy than upstairs. But I don't know. pick your poison, I guess.
Yeah.
So when she woke up, when she heard me walking around, I was making coffee and stuff, she's telling me all of this. And I'm like, oh, my God. I'm like, I am so sorry. She's like, I didn't know what to do. She's like, I was actually afraid of him. And then when I went to go back to the room, he locked the door, locked me out of the bedroom. So I couldn't get back in the bedroom, so I had to sleep down here.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
And so he's locked in the room, right? So she's like, I don't know what to do. He's acting like he's insane. She's like, they've been together for years. He's never done anything like this.
Oh, my God.
So I make her coffee. We're sitting there talking for a minute. I'm like, well, do you want me to call for help? Like, what do you want? Call a family member? What trying to figure out what to do, because in case he's, I don't know what's going on with him. And then he appears, comes downstairs, and he's like, hi, everybody, how's it going? I'm like, totally normal, all happy, and, acting like nothing at all happened. And we're just looking at each other, and she's like, what the hell? Like, what in the hell? And I'm like, hey, how'd you sleep last night? He's like, oh, man, I don't remember anything. I know we had some wine. That's the last thing I remember. And I sort of passed out, he's saying.
Oh, wow.
And she's just like, what the
kidding
hell?
me? Yeah.
Like, what in the hell is going on?
Wow. You said these were in the green room?
Green room, yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Well, people actually get, we joke about that. Well, we warn people, actually, because if you're staying overnight, you can bring like a bottle of wine or beer or whatever. You're going to sit by the campfire. You can't drive, though. Like, you can't leave the property.
Right.
Because there was someone who lived here at one point, one of the handymen. Glenn Arlen McKnight was his name, but he was on the censuses from the 1950s to like the 1970s, and then he disappears. But he was an older man, in his 70s at the time. And then all of a sudden, we think he may have passed away in the house. We can't find his obituary, but he all of a sudden disappears off the censuses. But he was a very bad drunk, bad alcoholic. There were booze bottles hidden all over the house. When they came to clean the house out after the lady who went blind here died and all that, they were finding just alcohol, booze bottles, beer cans everywhere.
Wow.
But anyway, this guy, the family came for a seance, so that's how we know all this. They said that this man, they used to have to bail out of jail all the time, bring him back to the house. He was always getting in fights, car accidents, getting pulled over for DWIs and stuff. So he was a bad drunk. So a lot of times when people even just have like a glass of wine, they feel drunker than they've ever felt before. I think because he comes around them.
Yeah,
they pick up his energy.
Yeah, attracted to the alcohol.
And nasty. He was always getting in fights and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we wonder, sounds almost like maybe that's what was sort of going on. Almost like you said, he almost like blacked out. He was acting totally like nothing at all had happened.
Yeah, something must have happened.
I'm like, so let us, because I'm looking at her, I'm like, are you okay to drive home with him? She's like, I guess. She was so confused. I'm like,
wow.
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
But that was definitely a weird one, and that was something that was just, out of character, and somebody definitely, I think, influenced him or whatever.
Wow, that's amazing. Another thing that we found fascinating while we were there was just the land itself, not only the house, but the land as well, and particularly the area behind the house, on the top of the hill there. It's now a farm field. But and we had some, and you were there as well with us outside, Heather. We had some strange things happen to us outside.
Oh yeah,
which you described to us as kind of indicative of when people spend time out there. What tell the listeners what exactly is going on behind the house.
Yeah, the land around the house. They were saying it was Native American burial grounds. This whole area, this whole Western New York area. The reason the town we're in is called Gasport, and the reason it's called Gasport is because back before the Erie Canal was put in, where canal houses were, we're right near the Erie Canal. Before the canal was dug, there were creek beds and everything, and they were all natural gas source there, and it was little blue flames were all over the creek beds, just always lit, always like burning these little eternal flames. When the settlers showed up, white man showed up, and they started taking over the land. They started ruining all those gas beds and they would actually put gas lamps and stuff in front of their houses lit from the ground. Like if you could have fracking here, you'd make $1 million. But when the Native Americans were here, they thought it was sacred ground because the ground was little blue flames, so they buried everybody here. So to them, it was like sacred and holy ground, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So then there were tons of burial mounds all over this area. It was just all the fields here, and when people showed up in the 1700s, the Europeans showed up and just started flattening all the burial mounds out and farming on them. Because the Native Americans, this was they're called the Neuter Indians. They're part of the Iroquois Confederation. So the Iroquois, what they used to do was they would have everybody who had passed away over the year, they would wrap them in like beaver pelts and skins and things like that. They'd hang them in a tree to dry out or whatever, and then they would all meet and bury everybody. For like everybody who died for the year, they'd bury everybody all at the same time in a burial mound. That's why you have a whole bunch of people in a mound.
Oh, wow.
Because they would like all meet at a certain time or place. And so they only buried them about 2 feet deep too, so these were not big, deep burial mounds. But anyway, so that's what was all in the backyard here, I guess. It was all huge burial mounds, but it was also settlements too. You had a lot of the little villages were all around here too. Native Americans were all in this area. Very, very busy area. We had, it was almost like being in New York City for the Native Americans. You had quite a few, the Senecas and Tuscaroras. You had a lot of different Native Americans here. So we see out back like a lot of shadow people, like black shadow figures that just rush up to you. We've caught them on film and photos. We've seen them, with the naked eye. You'll be out there and you see them. Remember we were seeing? Yeah. Well, we were out there. We were seeing them behind the one tree in the back. They look like they're peeking out of the tree. They don't look like shadows. To me, they look more like ink, like a thick black. Yeah. Darker than black, if that makes sense. And they'll like look out and then go back, and I would see them in the field. It was super weird. So we see that as well, but a couple different theories with that. I mean, the show Kindred Spirits, when they filmed here, that was interesting because they went to the Historic Society and they found out quite a bit of information about this area with the Native American history, and then the episode that they ended up putting on air was very different from what they actually filmed here and what they were getting, because they had to edit it down. I think they didn't want to either disrespect Native Americans or whatever to say what they really thought was happening, but they think it was more of that the Native American burial grounds were disturbed, and that's why there's so much activity here, which would totally make sense. That makes more sense than anything. Right. So they had, the Native Americans, and then their psychic, his name is Chip Coffey, and he was saying the same thing. He said he feels like he's Native American. They rush up to you. They want to know why you're here. They sort of check people out and then go back into the wood line, but they watch. So you just feel like there's like hundreds of people around you. And I know when you guys went up into the field, we were watching you from the campfire pit area. Yeah. You two walked up into the high field. It's like a hill, and you're looking down at the house from up there. We were seeing ghost lights appearing in the trees above you, in the tree line. They look like balls of light. Yeah. But they were like a bluish color. It was weird, like almost like gray. Yeah. They would appear above the tree line. Wow. And we kept going. We thought you had some sort of weird light that you're shining up above the trees. We were very confused at first. Yeah. Yeah. What
was interesting about that is that we were up there doing an EVP session, and Terrence, who was with us, but that was with you over by the campfire, had infrared binoculars, and so he was. I told him to just watch our flanks. If you see anything rushing up on us, just give us a shout. And you guys began seeing those lights above us, but what's interesting is that we weren't seeing them where we were. We didn't see any lights at all from where we were standing, and we were actually closer to where the lights were, which doesn't really make sense. But Beth had, going back and looking at her pictures later on, like the next day or something like that, it turns out, like earlier in the night, she just happened to snap a picture of the field and captured one of these blue lights that you guys were seeing above our heads. Really weird. Yeah.
Yep, and I had done a reading for a girl who lives on the other side of those tree lines, like where you were walking up into that field. Yeah. There's nothing behind it but more. There's like I think 4 more farmers' fields that go to. It goes right up to a road called Rook Road. So there's like a road behind it. Nothing else. No houses or anything. So, but this lady lived like on the other side of the tree line, off to the right of it though, and she said that they would sit and have campfires at night, and she would look over towards like where our house is, over that same tree line, and they would see these balls of light that would appear above the tree line. And they, a couple times, would like get their car and try and chase it or find out where it was coming from or what it was, and they could never like figure it out. As I got near it, it would like be gone, it would disappear. But they would just sit there and watch it for like hours. They just sort of appear and move around above the tree lines. And then that's what I was saying, like, wow, we saw it from our angle, from our side of the tree line.
Wow, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. And I hear a lot of people report quote-unquote UFO sightings, but when in fact what they're describing is like something that you're talking about and that we're talking about that we captured. It's like a, what Keel called a soft sighting. It's not an actual nuts and bolts craft, but some kind of light, some kind of orb in the sky that flies around and looks like it has some sort of intelligence attached to it. It's just fascinating. I'm curious, have any of these, and again, these shadows, we saw them with our own eyes. They were peeking around, almost like it was coming out of that, like, was it a peach tree down by the corner there?
Yeah, it's a big pear tree.
A pear tree, yeah. It seemed like whatever was looking at us was coming out of the tree, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious, has anyone or you or anyone ever seen any of these shadows in the house?
Yes, we see dark shadows quite a few times in the house. Yep. They'll go past, especially in the bathroom, on the off the dining room. There's a half bath. It was actually the cold storage of the kitchen. It wasn't always a bathroom. It only was turned into a bathroom about maybe 20 years ago now. So it was just like their old ice box, and it has like the big trays, the big tin line trays that drain into the water system. And they would have put the big blocks of ice. All the hooks are on the walls in there for when they would have had meat and everything in the big ice box. Like a big walk-in freezer is actually what it was. But anyway, so that part, yes, we'll see people walk by. It's just like, it blocks out the light. It looks like somebody's walking past the window, and like all of a sudden there's a shadow there. I saw, I put a wall up in that bathroom. It was originally just a hallway, looped around into the kitchen. We put a wall there because we wanted to separate and make that a bathroom. The only reason that was turned into a bathroom is because the second family in, the lady who ended up living there was by herself at the end of her life. She was in her 90s, but she had gone blind. And she still had an outhouse, and this is in the late 1980s. She still had an outhouse, and the state came in and forced her to put a toilet in the house.
Wow.
And she was pretty angry about that. She absolutely did not want that, done. They made her sell acreage, which was a big no-no because she was holding onto her land. She had like 250 acres. Anyway, so they put this toilet in, and because she was blind, they just threw it into a hallway. So if you had to use that bathroom, that toilet, you had to close 7 doors to use the bathroom. Because she was blind, they were like, well, she doesn't care. We're just going to throw it here, which is really not functional at all. So anyways, I ended up putting a wall there, and I was painting that wall. We're putting it all together, and I'm, and I kept seeing what looked like, I thought it was my husband, because there's a door. Again, the doors that it opens up into is like another hallway that goes into the back door of the house, basically, into the laundry room area. I kept thinking he was standing in the doorway there because it was blocking the shadow. It was completely like making it dark there. And I would like look, and I'd be like, call his name and expect him to be standing there because I would see his shadow standing there. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And I got scratched there actually as well. They were not happy that I was putting that wall up because I was altering the kitchen.
Yeah.
But for necessity and just for, we had to have a wall there. But
yeah,
they didn't like that I was changing that. But yeah, that definitely. And then I saw a black shadow figure at the foot of my bed, our bed actually, in the room we have now as our bedroom is the back room of the house. We had refinished the basement. We put a bunch of walls back up in the basement because the walls were removed to put a new floor down. So they took all the original red Niagara brick down. It was all like, had the original doors, everything to 1865. The lady before me took all the walls down because they were crumbling and falling apart. And she wanted to make the floor level. And anyway, we ended up rebuilding all those walls because we wanted the rooms back to how they're supposed to be. We knew what the floor plan was. We wanted it back to original. We put all the walls back up. So when I got done with that, I was working on it one night, painting and wallpapering, finishing the walls down there. And that night, I went to go to bed. My husband was working later, and I fell asleep first. And I woke up at about, it must have been 5:30 in the morning because I could hear birds chirping. And this is like in February, March, right? So I look and I don't have my contacts on, so everybody's blurry, but I see him standing at the foot of the bed, my husband. He's tall, he's like 6'4".
Yeah.
Black shadow, though. I just see his outline, but I see a solid black shadow. I thought it was him, and I'm talking to him, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? I thought he was trying to wake me up. I thought he had asked me something, or something was going on, and I'm like, why are you standing at the foot of the bed? I was all confused. I thought maybe the cats were there and he was messing around with them. I didn't know, but he wasn't moving, standing perfectly still. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I look, and then I close my eyes, and I start falling back asleep. I open my eyes again. He's still standing there. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I keep just falling asleep. I'm like, what, were you trying to tell me something? And then I closed my eyes, fell asleep again. So in the morning, I'm like, I felt bad because I'm thinking, oh, he's probably trying to say something, and I was just passing out. And the next morning, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what were you trying to tell me last night? I feel so bad. I was falling asleep on you. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you were standing at the foot of the bed. Like, were you messing with one of the cats? Like, why were you standing there? He's like, I wasn't standing at the foot of the bed. I'm like, come on. I'm like, seriously. What the? Yeah, that freaked me out for days because it was solid. It was watching me sleep. It was standing there just watching me.
That's really unnerving when that happens.
So then I'm like, are you happy that I'm putting the walls back up, or are you upset? Didn't seem upset. I wasn't getting like a bad vibe, but they were definitely like had followed me, like, we see what you're doing down there, or whatever. Oh no!
Wow,
it was super weird.
Yeah,
and it was super clear, like no doubt about it. Yeah,
interesting.
Damn,
you definitely seen them, but we know that the Native Americans here, with the historians at the show, like Kindred Spirits, the people that they went to, it was the Lockport Historic Society, were telling us about this whole thing that came through this area called Sullivan's Brigade. It was the Scorched Earth campaign. I don't know if I told you guys about that. General Washington, back in the day, had sent all the, they had all the Native Americans murdered, killed, their villages burned to the ground, Scorched Earth campaign, so nothing would grow again. Everyone slaughtered and murdered, going all the way down to the Genesee River Valley area, which is in a diagonal from Fort Niagara, all the way down. Because all the Native Americans that were helping the British, they wanted them all destroyed. And so it came right through Gasport. And then in retaliation, the British ordered that all the Native Americans that were helping the Americans be murdered. Insane. Scorched Earth campaign, murdered, was killing everybody all the way up to Old Fort Niagara, which is on a big diagonal right through Gasport. And they're just slaughtering everybody at both ends, back and forth. So when the Native Americans were chased back up to Old Fort Niagara, it was wintertime, and they were fleeing on foot literally for their lives, running up to Old Fort Niagara, and they all got, whoever made it up to the fort, they're like, they're coming after us, they're trying to murder us all, blah, blah, blah. And at the fort, they're like, yep, I'm sorry, too bad there's no room. You guys can't come in here. So they left them all outside, and they all froze to death.
Awful.
So it was like this horrible, crazy thing that happened that like nobody really knows about. But that's why I can't imagine how many people were killed. And it was this whole area. And it was such a Native American stronghold. This was just where, it was just absolutely horrible. So, yeah, there's that happened in this whole area as well. So as far as there being multiple, it just seems like there's so many spirits out there.
Yeah, you can just feel that when we were out there. It just feels like they're all around us and out in the backyard there. Like we were being watched all around us, and it just like
you feel like there's a crowd.
Yeah, so
it just feels like there's a crowd. Yeah.
When we started to come back in, when we were done being out there, it was almost like running just to come back, because it just
that weird flash.
Yeah,
that weird flash that was above us. When we went, you guys came back from the field and were standing by the fire pit area.
And we still don't know what that was.
It was like, it almost looked like heat lightning, but not quite. It was low above it, like right above us.
Yeah, I agree. It did look like heat lightning or like an arc from a welder or something like that. But
it was gray. It wasn't bright. It was like a gray color. A gray-white color. And it was like flash, and it wasn't just one flash either. It was like a... And we all were... I saw my shadow on the ground, and the light was up from above on top of my head down. My shadow was cast straight down. Not like a long shadow, like from the house, or someone's taking a picture.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was right above our heads, and I mean, based on the shadow, I mean, this was an instant, but I mean, I saw clearly the shadows cast by us and the chairs and the fire pit and everything. And it looked I mean, if I'm guessing, maybe 30 feet above our heads, something like that, roughly. And bright, like, and everyone turned and looked at me because I was the one standing behind everybody. Like, I had just taken a flash, but I didn't say flash like I usually do when I take a picture.
And you didn't have your phone. You weren't looking.
Yeah, so I was standing I didn't have anything in my hands. I had my arms crossed. Yep. Everyone turns and looks at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what the hell was that? Like,
it wasn't bright like a flash. That was the other weird thing. Bright enough to cast shadows, but not bright enough to be like a flash.
Yeah.
It was, that was super weird out there. No idea what that was about. That was definitely crazy. And then they did find like 20 bodies by the bridge when they widened the canal. Oh, the bridge is what, I don't know, 1,000 yards from the house. Very close.
Yeah, something like that,
It's not very far, but they did find bodies there, and they said there weren't Native American artifacts with those bodies, and then they found there's a huge burial mound over on what's called Caner Road, right off of Rochester, which is about a mile on a diagonal from our house. And they found that in 1908. A farmer was pulling out peach trees with a tractor, and as he pulled the big peach trees out, in the roots of the peach trees were all these bodies. They're finding hundreds of skeletons in the roots of these peach trees, and people started freaking out because they're just finding like this. It was this, and it's weird because the ground here, it's pretty flat, and this Caner Road is a big hill. It's a big mound out of nowhere. There's just this big random hill. So they were finding just thousands of bodies over there. So they had a trolley that ran up there, and they brought people in, tourists, the sightseers from Buffalo, and they were all coming in and checking out these Native American bones that they were finding. And people were taking bones home and taking skulls home as souvenirs and stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Like this is only 1908 too. This is not that long ago. Just a little over 100 years ago. Super bad. So then I found these articles on this whole thing going on. It's right near the house. And I said, hey, is there like a memorial or something over there? I want to go check out the area. I really just wanted to get a feel for whatever was happening up there.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, they just covered everybody back up and then just called it a day and kept farming on it. They planted more fruit trees up there. And there's nothing to say that's happening. And somebody else commented, it was like one of those neighborhood pages, you know. Yeah. Somebody else commented, oh, that's so-and-so's property. I bet you that they have no idea that that's up there, or that their orchards are on top of all these bodies.
Oh, jeez.
And there was a girl who stayed here last weekend who's an anthropologist, and she had been doing a lot of research on Vikings in this area. She thinks, because the articles I found on this whole thing happening, they kept saying there were no Native American artifacts with these bodies. There was nothing that you could tell they were Native American. She thinks it might be Vikings. She thinks it might be older.
Oh, wow.
Crap.
Like the mound builders, you know how they say there's there are a lot of Vikings in this area, but because there's a lot of questions of who was here first, who was here when, you know what I mean?
Wow.
There's a lot of weird stuff they don't really know about yet. Yeah.
That would make sense to me. The energy that's all over that land and so many spirits out there, all different, different time eras. It seems like there's so many.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because of the settlements they found in Newfoundland that they have since proved were Viking. So they were on this continent.
Oh yeah.
And there's writings in their histories about this place Vinland that they think is actually refers to this continent, Canada and the United States. And of course, I mean, they were the best seafarers at that time. So if they were able, if they came across this continent, they 100% would have explored it, farmed it, settled it, whatever. I mean, those folks were everywhere at that time.
Oh yeah, yep. And that's what she was talking about. It was really, really funny. I'm like, oh, that's sort of interesting. I mean, that would make sense because the articles seemed very confused that they weren't finding any Native American beads or anything that looked like Native American anything with these bodies.
Wow.
And that's probably why they were digging through all the bones.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're totally being jerks and just taking everything apart. And
I can't. I mean, could you imagine just like us today, just going down the street to hey, let's go down to the cemetery and just just dig up some bodies and take the skulls home. If you. I
found an article. They're two boys were yelled at by their parents, and they were forced to bring the skulls home back. Sorry, to the burials. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Can you imagine?
God.
Just
no, I can't imagine. Awful. Wow.
So that was that's another thing that sort of, well, it actually sort of validates what they were talking about as far as the scorched earth stuff and with the different settlements, the Vikings, who knows? But it would explain why that was so massive. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there could have been a plague or whatever. There are that many people buried there, but
Wow.
I don't know. There's still, you know how that is. They really don't know what's really going on.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
You know, that
That's
Serpent Hill and all that other stuff, and who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, and I think there's something that we find just doing, you know, private cases here and there is the spirits want to be acknowledged. And I think in a lot of these places where a lot of terrible things happened or a lot of really great things happened, if there isn't a marker, if there's not a memorial, if there's not some kind of recognition that these people lived here, this was their home, this is what they did, this was their names, this was the tribe of the name of the tribe, or whatever. You know, I think that, like,
Then their lives didn't matter.
that it's and they're still connected to the earth. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, way more than Western people believe. Like, their connection to that earth was, they were a part of it. It was part of them. And, you know, for them to not have recognition in that area, I'm not surprised at all that there's all this crazy stuff going on and giant shadows running at people. I mean, we experienced that when we were up there in the field. We heard footsteps walking up to us, and that's why Beth kept like spinning around and taking pictures with her camera.
Yeah, because I felt somebody was walking.
Yeah, you hear the running.
Because we could hear the crunching, and because they had just plowed and just cleared off the field, but there were still some like small little bits of, you know, whatever was growing there. I'm not sure what it was, but some kind of like hay or something. And you could hear the footsteps coming, and you could hear every once in a while like a crunch of them stepping on the stalks that were still remaining, like a little bit. We kept spinning around expecting someone standing there, and we couldn't see anything.
Or a deer or something.
Yeah.
Something running around up there.
Yeah.
And remember how was it the night that it was really quiet? There were no crickets or anything.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if that was the night we were back there. It was like there were no frogs, crickets, nothing.
That's
and
right.
then I was reading a thing because I was reading up on the Neuter Indians and the Iroquois and stuff, and the different theories of or their traditions and all this stuff as far as these protective entities that protect their burial mounds and grounds and things. And I'm like, And they said what they do is they make it really windy. They want to blow you off of the areas where the burials are.
Oh, interesting.
And friends of ours, we did a paranormal investigation, a public one, last weekend. And one of my team members, he was doing EVPs out in the field. We had gone back there later. A lot of people had gone home. It was like very end, so we were just sort of hanging out. It was a nice night, and it was full moon. So we're standing at the edge of the field, you know, right before you go in the field there. And he said he caught an EVP that as we're talking, we're just talking about, look at the moon, and we're looking up into the field there, and you hear a man say, move back. Really loud over us talking.
Wow, that makes
You
sense.
hear him say, move back.
Wow.
That explains the feeling we were getting.
And the wind kicked up. It started getting super windy.
Oh,
They had been sitting out there for like 20 minutes, just taking in the night because it was beautiful, and it was like the full moon was coming up over the trees, and we're like, this is so pretty back here, and all of a sudden this wind kicked up out of nowhere. Then he got that move back.
Wow.
We're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... We didn't catch any voices in our EVP session out there, but we did get, at one point, we just kind of... We started hearing more and more movement and stuff, and...
Feeling more and sensing more.
Yeah, we were just feeling... Like, it felt very comfortable at first, and the more time we spent there, we just kind of got to a point where it was like... But we just looked at each other and we're like, it's time to go. And so we just, like, gathered up our stuff and, like, expeditiously walked. We didn't run out of there, but we just very briskly walked away. And then Terrence, I think it was Terrence, commented, you guys left in a little bit of a hurry. Is everything okay?
It looked like you guys were almost running, like you're walking fast.
We were just like, no, it was just time to go. We just, it was time to go.
I felt
well, you feel like you're in trouble. You shouldn't be up there. You're going to get yelled at.
Exactly. Like I'm on private property and I'm going to get caught for doing something that I don't, invading somebody else's privacy. Like when you were over there, it was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's what the green room was like, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we experienced that as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
well,
pretty crazy.
I want to thank you, Heather, for taking the time out to talk to us. We loved the weekend we spent there. We can't wait to get back.
You guys said so many crazy things happen in your room, too. So.
Recordings
going on.
A recorder's turning on and off by themselves, and just all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, we're going to get to that in part 2.
Yeah.
I did mention at the outset, I think that you are an author as well as a medium and psychic and owner of this place. So I'm looking at your books here, The Haunting of Graestone Manor and Letters to Olivia, and then Letters to Olivia 2. So did you want to take a second just to kind of describe those?
Sure. The books are, the first 2 books, The Letters to Olivia is just, it's like my spirit name, my guide sort of right through me. So that's like the spirit name that they give me, but ask about all different topics, everything from, what's ESP, what happens after you die, reincarnation, and then my guides wrote answers out. So the whole books are auto-written by my spirit guides or entities or whoever wanted to step in and talk. And then there's other things we experienced at haunted locations involving spirits as well. So a couple different things in the books. It covered a couple different topics. First one's more about my psychic abilities and how they interact with me as far as my guides and angels and things like that. Second book is more about all topics. I have people send me questions. What do you want me to ask my guides about? And then they asked, and then they answered the question. So the 2 books are sort of in that field. And then the third book is The Haunting of Graestone Manor, is all about the house here, what we went through, things we've experienced here, all the different family members we went and interviewed, people who lived here before, the things that they experienced here, and just the history and things that we had uncovered as well. So, but there, you can find them all on our website, www.graestonemanor.com. It's Grae. It's a weird spelling. It's Scottish. Graestone manor.com. You can go right on there to books links, and it'll take you right to Amazon. We're on Amazon as well. Just go to Amazon and put the titles of the books in. They should come right up.
Very nice. And what do you have up and coming at Graestone Manor?
We have, actually on Friday, we have Nick Groff from Ghost Adventures.
Okay.
Who's going to be here doing an investigation. He's coming in. They're going to do like a semi-public hunt. I think it's going to be a small group of people, but they're having tickets and they're coming in. You can go to our Facebook page. I think I have links on there as well. Okay. Click on there for tickets. I'm not sure if there's any available still, but Nick Groff and Tessa Del Zappo, who's a psychic medium as well, so they'll be coming here to investigate. So it's going to be really fun to investigate with them, for sure. That'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
So that's coming up.
Okay.
We have another public investigation on the 24th of July, I believe. Tickets are still, I think there's a couple left for that one. And that's just our paranormal team, and we sort of run you through and, take you through for investigation. So and then we're always open for the B&B, and anybody who stays overnight, you can call us at 716-481-6097.
Okay, nice.
If you stay overnight, you're welcome to investigate as well while you're here, too.
Nice.
So people who stay over, you can sort of investigate the grounds. And
very nice.
Yeah.
And did I see that are you going to a psychic event up there? Or doing a psychic event?
I'll be at the psychic fair down at the Statler this October.
Oh, nice.
I think it's October 20th, I believe.
Okay.
So I'll be there. We're going to have our information on the house. I'll have my books and everything. I'll be selling a few crystals, and I have pendulums and all sorts of stuff that I make and sell, but then I'll be doing readings as well. So people can come by and talk to us and meet us in person. We can give you info there.
And have you got your wine yet? Have you got your wine? I know they were making you a wine.
Not yet, but I do want to have that made. I'm so excited about that. We're going to have a haunted winery, Margin Manor, which is a haunted winery up in Burt, New York. It's north of us here, and they're going to start making wine for us. I'm so excited.
Me too.
That's awesome. Yeah, we stopped by that winery while we were up there, and that's a cool spot.
Yeah, that place seems haunted also.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a super cool place. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, awesome. Yeah. So again, thanks, Heather. I'll put the links to the your website and everything on the episode page. And again, I honored you came on, and I just cannot wait to get back up there and investigate.
I know. I just talk
looking forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah.
I felt bad when you left. I felt like, missed you guys. You guys are. It was really funny. I think the house definitely missed you. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Wouldn't be surprised if you guys decide to come back up if you start having dreams about it, because sometimes they'll reach out before you even get here.
I mean, I missed as soon as we got in the car and drove away. There's some type of connection there too. That we just love. I mean, we love you. Your hospitality and the history of the house itself, the land. We're very respectful of all of it, and we just can't wait to get back.
Yeah. Love you guys too. Missed you.
Yay!
All right.
All right.
Well, we'll see you. Thanks for having me on, and
Thanks, Heather.
looking forward to the next episode of it.
Yes. All right. Take care.
Awesome.
Okay, guys.
All
Talk
right.
to you later.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. That was great.
I hope you got it right. It's recording. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
We can't call her back again.
we had issues. We tried to do this before through an app on. Was it last month? We tried to do this and it just didn't work out. The audio just tanked on us and it just disappeared. Her audio was gone. Our audio levels were all crazy. We could just wait and it's interesting that all that stuff happened because she's still there in the space. She was at Graestone Manor. We're here in New Jersey doing this remote interview. And she's in the spot where I had all this equipment malfunction, stuff that I've never had happen before or since.
Right. Bizarre stuff.
As well as others, yeah. And here, like, we tried to do this interview, and she said, we always have, we have issues with electronics all the time. It just kind of happens.
Yeah. And we've had issues when we went to Graestone Manor and other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into episode 2, but, I mean, the craziest stuff I've had with equipment ever happened to me, and it happened to others as well, and, like, I can't explain any of it. I can't explain what we witnessed out on the grounds.
It kind of makes sense what we experienced when we went there and everything else that happened the first time we tried to interview her. So it just...
Yeah.
It's a fascinating place. It's got a lot of history. It's got sadness, but it's also fascinating how she's related to this root family and didn't know it. So it's almost like the house was calling her.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what? Now she had more stuff to tell us this time, even.
Yeah.
And different stuff. So this is how it was supposed to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we went with the call-in option and circumvented some technology issues, which seemed to work. So we're good this time. And like I said, or like you said, rather, that's how it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And I think it was a better interview this time. So
yeah.
I will post this episode. I'll put links up to Graestone Manor on the episode page. If you're ever in the Niagara region of New York, even if you don't have a weekend to spend there, if you just want to stop by and just, holy crap, like,
it's worth
that
it.
whole area of the country is just unbelievably beautiful, haunting.
And it's very spiritual. I didn't know that it's like they have a lot of spiritual people, almost like Lilydale, which we had no idea.
Right.
You know, it was like that. I mean, it's not like a big community, but they used to, I guess, back in the time that's something that we didn't get into on this episode, but something that she was talking to us about while we were there is that area of New York was a huge epicenter of the spiritualist movement post Civil War. So and it was before even Lilydale.
Yeah, right.
So and Lilydale's over 150 years old, so it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it really is pretty cool. So it's always been a spiritual place and has always been a hub of activity.
And you can feel that.
Going back, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Amazing place.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right,
everybody, thanks for joining us. And
thank you.
This was part 1 of Graestone Manor. We will see you again on part 2.